We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Hello, Mavs fans. Welcome to Pod Mavericks Mavs Party. It is about 12:30 in the morning on Thursday, May 2nd. This show is coming live to you right after Josh Bowe and I's normal recording. This is our secondary show, Mavs Party, where you can join and talk a little basketball with me if you are at all interested. I have posted a link in the YouTube comments. It is a StreamYard link, and I have pinned it to the comments. If you want to join, what you need to do there is click on the link, whether you're on your phone or on your computer. You can, it sends you to a private room where I will then bring you up here where you can talk with me, kind of like, your Zoom call or anything else that we've done over the last several years, as everybody has gotten much more used to being in charge of things. I'm getting a text here from Jason Gallagher, who I'm hoping will join the show. Come join, Jason. All right. So far we don't have anybody up here yet, which is a little new for this show, but that's okay. Hey, my man Brandon's joining. It's been a couple of games. I will bring him up now. Brandon, what's going on tonight? How are you?
Kirk, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Welcome.
Man, well, I'm feeling good. Anytime they win, I'm all about it.
So what'd you think of tonight's win? What were the things you enjoyed the most?
Well, I mean, to me, the first thing I noticed was with Luka having somebody to dish the ball to in the paint, they have to worry about that now. So
all the time, it just exists in their head that somebody's going to be there to dunk the ball.
So they have to make sure that Gafford isn't rolling, that Washington isn't rolling, or Lively. So even if they're not, getting it all the time, is still that potential threat. But then also I noticed that, one way that Dallas worked them is there's opportunity for them to kick out, to the corner for a three. I think that, Josh Green had missed one earlier. But anyways, even if they missed or not, there's still opportunity for them to score. So they have to worry about, getting into a big, and then even if the big is doubled or being defended, somebody on the wing lighting them up.
Yeah, and for much of the series, the Clippers had essentially stayed home. They'd packed the paint. They dared Luka to make a difficult pass or take a difficult, for Luka, for anybody else other than Luka, a difficult shot. But I think over the course of the series, the Mavericks have gotten a little bit cuter with what they're doing offensively. Luka's playing with a lot more force. I think he did so tonight, where he was going at the rim a lot more rather than getting the defender on his back hip and then slowing down near the free throw line, which he's always been so good at. But the Clippers are just so rangy guys were making him second guess in a way I've never seen before. So it was really nice to see him just sort of push past that and make the Clippers terrified of him, which they should be.
I think, and just looking at the Clippers, man, it feels like they're just great ball defenders. So Dallas has to give them a range of different, things that they have to defend, because if they're just going to ball defend, then I don't think that Dallas would really kind of, be able to do what they want to, excluding like Luka and Kyrie, they can kind of do what they want to, with the, kind of the way that the Clippers is able to defend other guys. Dallas has to give them some type of different options. Yeah. But it just seems like, what I noticed that Harden, he was doing what he wanted to. So it was one play when they put Lively on him. He went to the paint, and they put more people on him. They didn't really have for a while, they didn't have a consistent person on him. But it seems like whenever Derrick Jones Jr. is in the game, he's kind of like the catalyst of Dallas defense, to where he's forcing things that, either he's on the ball or not, he's forcing things to happen. And I just feel like that dude is, I didn't know his defense was as good as it is, before he got to the Mavs, but just looking at how he defends good players, it seems like, he's the one that people are like, okay, we need to be more careful around this dude.
Oh, he's a catalyst for a lot of what they're doing. I didn't know he was this good either. I liked the concept of his athleticism and having Luka as a lob threat on offense, but really didn't watch enough of him. And I'm really he is almost, I think he's been in the year, this will be his 10th year. He's been in the league forever, and he's having a great year with Luka. And I'm just really delighted. I mean, he was the last man signed. I think maybe Exum was signed after him. But I remember I was driving. It was well after free agency. He opted out of more money with the Bulls to come to the Mavericks. He's just such an important player.
He is. He's an intangible. But Kirk, think about this. And just kind of back to the way that they're playing offensively. That's pretty much been the Mavericks' chemistry of how they want to get a guy to either roll or get somebody that can really just light them up around the three. And that's been traditionally kind of what they've, kind of hung their hat on, and it's starting to come back into fruition. Like before this playoffs, I have to honestly say that they didn't have identity. Just Luka improvising, Kyrie improvising, and, just basically hoping that, shots fall in. But if this is the blueprint that they have going forward, I think it could get them pretty far, because teams are going to have to, for one, definitely worry about the size, because size really does, in terms of basketball, size is really significant. But then also, just the way that Maxey and even Josh are kind of saying, hey, you got to worry about us.
That's right.
That's really a way for them to put people on notice. So if they can stick with this blueprint and kind of fine tune it, I think that they could get pretty far.
Yep. Well, I really appreciate you kicking off the show for me. It's always fun whenever I go from these shows, even though we roll from one show into the other. Sometimes it's really funny because there's 450 people here in the YouTube live, and then when nobody wants to join, I'm always like, well, that sucks.
Right.
But I'm grateful for you kicking us off. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Kirk.
All right, talk soon. All right, coming up next here is friend of the show, Jason Gallagher. Jason, how are you?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm great. How are you surviving with all of this good basketball that you have to watch tonight? Because just Jason, everybody, he lives up in Oklahoma City, and he is a Mavericks fan, but he still likes good basketball.
It's true.
So you're going to a lot of getting to see a lot of great basketball.
Yeah, it's been fun. Oklahoma City is a really fun crowd. It's a really fun place. It'll be. I actually if the Mavericks make it through, it seems like the kind of crowd that Luka will really enjoy to play in. You know what I mean? He's like one of those very few sickos that just fucking it feeds him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's like a wrestling heel.
We're looking forward to that. Now I want to make it clear, because I had some fans in my mentions tonight because there was a billboard that was put up across the street from Crypto.
Oh yeah.
That said there are direct flights from Dallas to Cancun. Mm-hmm. So after the game, I had tweeted something along the lines of that photo and a face being you know what I mean? Yeah. And the amount of people that were like, job's not finished, Jason. Do I need to go crunch some tape here? What what do I need? What do I need? It's like, and that's what, like, if I mention, like, man, I hope the Mavs play Oklahoma City, like, I'll get some fans to be like, let's not even go there, man. And I'm like, brother, there's nothing I'm saying right now has any bearing on any outcome of any game ever in the history of the world. So, anyways,
right.
I came on here, Kirk, because I really enjoyed that game. I really enjoyed Luka's performance. I've got multiple things to say, but I really found his performance to be like mature and persistent. He clearly, the shot has been like just not falling, bothering him. But the difference between this kind of game and a past kind of game is that he was still as decisive and as quick, and making the defense still stay on their toes, and just making the offense doesn't work unless he's like an ultimate threat. And he wouldn't, even though the shot's not falling, he doesn't allow that to stop him from being that ultimate threat. And that's what I loved. That's truly. It was just like a weirdly mature Luka game, in my opinion.
Well, he cut out in the second half of game 4. He cut out the threes. I think he only took 2 in the second half of game 4, and he might have hit one of them. Maybe it was 3. Doesn't matter. Point is, he's not using, because I mean, he was averaging like 13 threes a game in the first 3 games, and it's like, they're not falling. Stop shooting them. Yeah. And he's such a force in the paint. He's just so physical and big. It's like, man. So watching him use, there's been a lot of concern, and I think fair, that he's he's not quite quick enough to get to the rim these days.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Quick has never been his game. It's been intent. And the Clippers were walling elements a little too much. So it was nice to see him exert his will instead of figuring out, how can I bend to what the Clippers are doing. It was earlier in the game, earlier in the show Josh and I did, we referred to it as like the fuck you Luka game, where he's like, I'm Luka Doncic, I'm going to do the thing I do.
Yeah, I mean, it was really nice to see. The other things I want to say is that I really enjoyed, we get on to the coaching and stuff like that with some of the game plan stuff. I really did think even just something as subtle as like, we're running shit for Kyrie to open the game. It's just a small thing, but it's just like what they haven't done, like it was very, in my opinion, like noticeably like that kind of move just is a move, and you just want to see a move, you know what I mean? And so I really enjoyed that. Kyrie's awesome. I mean, just great stuff from him all series. And also, when we tweet negative things that are seemingly negative about a player, I think Maxi's a great example. I think you're like me, where it's like, it's not a tweet. It's not something against Maxi. It's more of like, why is, if we're seeing it's not working, why are we still going with it? Which is what happened, the other night. And so, again, a few people have sort of been like, you're a Maxi hater. You said in the other game.
I mean, I've absolutely been a Maxi hater at times, because there's been huge swaths of his career where he has been truly ass.
Sure. It's almost like Powell, where you would get to a point where you're just like, I'm sorry, but like, this player is what this player is. And I think Maxi's kind of one of those guys where it's like, look, he's a little streaky. And there are times where he is exactly like this. Like, he had playoff wins in previous playoff series where it was like, damn, I don't think we win this game unless Maxi hits like 8 threes or something. And he is that kind of player. But when he's not hitting, it is the most like, why? And again, it's less of I'm angry at him or think he sucks or whatever. I think we ought to try him. I think when he's hitting, he's spacing the floor and it's working. And that game plan is working. But when it's not working, it's particularly painful. All that to say, it was nice to see him get a win, because I'm sure it's been frustrating for him to not hit threes. And it was great to see him hit some threes. Love it.
Yeah. Did just because I'm thinking about it, did you see that hilarious stat about Kyrie in transition before this game?
No.
His EFG, his effective field goal percentage in transition, was 96%. That's the power of his bullshit threes, and they're not bullshit, but they feel like, oh my god, why are you? Oh, you made it! Yeah,
I appreciate this show because you let me come on and kind of say my piece, and I have not been on this show in a minute.
No,
and I had a tweet about a month ago that was basically like, I have to just like say I could not have been more wrong about Kyrie Irving in this.
No.
Yeah, right. And the amount of people that were like, go on camera and say that, coward. Like literally those words.
Which is weird because it's like there's more people who see your tweets than see this show.
Or they assume like I have access to ESPN's cameras, but all that to say, I'm on camera now. And I'm here to tell you folks, I was dead ass wrong.
Well, I don't know.
Dead ass wrong. And there was context, and who cares? In the end, all that matters is that motherfucker's so good, so good, and so competitive. And it's been really fun to see him in the playoffs because I feel like there's even like a more of an edge that we haven't seen as forget basketball fans or Mavs fans, basketball fans. As basketball fans, we are seeing playoff Kyrie, and that's sort of just like when he went to the basket tonight and fell down and screamed. Like I feel like I haven't seen that. I feel like I haven't seen that in a long time. And that's been awesome to see.
Yeah.
He's just been great.
Yeah. Well, and Luka's hyping him up on his Instagram reel right now, which is always fun to see. Like this is the time of year where the teammate, like the fact that these guys are just around each other all the time. And there's, it goes from being, and like, let's just be honest, like this is a job. They love playing basketball, but it's still a job. And when you're around your coworkers all the time, sometimes it can be a bit much, but this is like the playoffs are like the corporate, they're locked in. They have a specific goal. There's not an 82 game grind ahead of them. So it's like some of the positive momentum between these guys is always really fun to see this time of year.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And it feels like this game in particular, I just loved because the first quarter it felt kind of ugly. It felt weird. And it felt like the Mavs had a singular goal, like a singular, I know that sounds silly to say, but like there was intention with their schemes. There was intention with their offensive game plan. And you could see it from the opening tip, which was nice. And that's the part where it's like credit where credit's due. We spend a lot of times complaining and I think it's good to just say like hell of a game plan, hell of an effort from the team. Great shooting from my boy Maxi Kleba. I love it.
Well, so I do have a question for you. I probably should have asked you if I could ask you this, but I don't really care. It's 12:45 and you're drinking. So for anybody that doesn't know, Jason is a producer on. What's your official title on Mind the Game?
My official title is director, which I find to be really weird because it's a podcast, but
it's a video podcast. There's a video element.
How much quality is put into it and how much people management it is, I will take the title.
Jason is highly involved at a senior level on the Mind the Game podcast with LeBron James and JJ Redick, who he also does work on JJ Redick's podcast. So I is that show done? Is that an ongoing? Are you still filming it, or are you done filming it and releasing it?
We filmed one today.
Okay, so next time if you film another one, during the game, LeBron James tweeted about this game a number of times, really into Kyrie. So I'm wondering if he's at all interested in being a 3-and-D player on a mid-level exception contract with the Dallas Mavericks.
I'm not legally allowed to.
I know.
But I mean, hell, it's sort of there was a joke about that kind of thing about later in his career, would he ever just be a spot up shooter? I will say that like it's so interesting, man, sitting on these athlete podcasts and hearing who people talk about. And I always kind of come back to where Luka sort of sits in people's brains in this discourse and how much I think that this playoffs is going to matter. It's just weird, man. It's weird. I love all these people, but are you this way where when you listen and you hear someone like JJ, who I love, who is so smart, who loves Luka, who I know he thinks Luka is like one of the best players in the entire world. But he'll be like, man, these guys, Shea, Tatum, Maxey, Brunson, these are the guys. And you're just like, you're missing one. And why do you think that happens so often? Because it happens often. I'm curious.
I don't know. I have no clue, but the fact that you even get to be involved in this is so cool for me as like your friend, because I'm just like, I wouldn't know what to do. It's fantastic.
It doesn't make any sense today. It doesn't make any sense, but it's very fun. Today's episode is very, very great.
I cannot wait for the JJ Shaquille O'Neal show.
That's great. That's really good. Like, folks, there couldn't be more different in terms of the way they talk about the game and all that stuff, but they have like the utmost respect. And so they're still very true to themselves. Shaq is, I'm dominant. It's very binary with him. It's very fascinating. It's like, you either have it or you don't, you're this or that. Obviously JJ is like way more nuanced in his whatever. So I'm really excited for that one. And be on the socials tomorrow, because we are announcing a brand new podcast tomorrow, which I cannot reveal, but I have been working very hard on it. I'm excited.
Killer. Good for you. I'm also was it Sue Bird as well coming on JJ's podcast?
Yeah, she's
so I very random thing. It doesn't have anything to do with this podcast, whatever. I was a practice player for Pepperdine University's women's team 20 years ago, getting the shit kicked out of me by Paul George's younger sister. Or older sister, believe it or not. That's a real thing. And then a woman who went to the WNBA named Jennifer Lacey, who was amazing. Just like women, like 6 foot tall women's basketball players that are all way more skilled than me. It was really fun. But anyway, Sue Bird like knew the coach, because the coach of Pepperdine was a Sparks coach at one point. And she came and sat during a practice. And I remember everybody being really excited, but I just didn't know who she was. And so now it's like 20 years later, it's like this Hall of Fame player. It's like wild stuff. Anyway,
I have one more question for you. So you sort of brought up, I'm reading some of your comments that are like Draymond to the Mavs, LeBron to the Mavs. Whatever.
Sure. I'm a slut.
I'm not going to say but like of this sort of old guard, because I feel like the old guard is a little bit phasing out.
Absolutely.
Of the old guard. And let's just take LeBron out of it, because that's cheating. Of the old guard, who would you most think like would actually like fit well on this Mavericks team?
Paul George.
Wow.
Because he's he has the mentality of a role player, but the skills of a superstar.
Oh, that's good. So that's interesting. That's interesting.
He's not going to do it. He'll go sign with Philadelphia and then somehow be So I really think he would fit, because you don't need him. He's useful because it's like, again, the PJ Tucker role, what the Mavericks have, right? But like watching PJ shoot tonight, it's one of those things that's going to catch up with the Mavericks. I believe like he was 1 of 7 from the floor. But he's like Paul George, incredible defender. I really think he's an incredible defender. He's not a playmaker, but it's just that's my, and I don't really know if he counts as old guard, because these guys now play for so long. It's hard for me to figure out like who's actually useful. Like Mavs fans in particular, like seem to often hate Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
That's
what about DeRozan? How do you feel about DeRozan?
No, because of his midi-range game. Okay. You know who I actually think might be funny is Jimmy Butler.
Okay, now
I don't think it would work, but I think it'd be funny, because it's like Butler, Kyrie, Luka, just to like 3.
I don't think anyone in that locker room would survive.
No, it'd be like Butler is the world's most annoying coworker. I don't think everyone understands that. Like he really is. I like DeRozan. It's just his defense is horrendous. Like it's So
I can see the comments are not into DeRozan, but I do like this thought experiment of like this sort of like plus 29, plus 30 player that, clearly we're like,
the older, like I think like the retired basketball guys, like Reggie Miller, like Kenny, and we're talking forever, but Karam will understand. He's the last person waiting.
Shout out.
They don't like Luka. they don't like Luka. They don't like him. And they can't put – it's the same stuff where it's like Dirk eventually won them over because Dirk just kept fucking coming and eventually won and is such a tough guy that they
the smart ones do. The smart ones do.
But the kind of midi like
this guy's not of that ilk that you're talking about, but like and I don't know how we do. Everybody calm down in the comments before I say this. It's just saying things, but like Pat Bev, great example of a guy who would
he likes Luka a lot. Yeah.
Would love to play with Luka because he had to guard Luka. If you were somebody who had to be matched up against Luka in a playoff series, you gain a level of respect.
I mean, Grant Williams, like the guys who have to do, but it's like the players who watch him, they can't figure it out because you could hear it tonight. Like after the game, Kenny is just so dismissive.
Luka, good point, Barham.
Yeah, it's there's enough guys, older guys, that are just so frustratingly dismissive of him. Because they don't understand how he's doing it. Like, and it's taken Jokic 4 years to get to where he is. And Jokic is going to go down like potentially as a top 10 player of all time with the way he's going. And it's a European bias. It is what it is. It's a different sport. I don't care.
But you know what it is though? You know why it's still hard for Jokic at times? It's that this Lakers series, right? We've watched, however many minutes, and it's like, who is the guy who really made the memorable plays that gave them those wins, that made it to where it's not like a 3-2 series right now?
Yep.
It's Jamal Murray. And the way that Jamal Murray plays is very pretty. It's fucking gorgeous. Like, I mean that in the best possible way. It's very fadeaway, nice looking shit. And so it's like, I'm just saying that like he's like, I think that people just gravitate towards that style. It's like aesthetics. And I gravitate towards that a lot too. Aesthetically, Luka's game is weird. It's wonky. So anyways, I've taken up a lot of your time, which
we like talking ball. I'm glad you came on.
Invite me on your actual podcast.
Yeah, but then I have to come up with real questions, and that's like I'm not a great interviewer.
We can riff. I want to ask you questions. What's going on?
Maybe we will do that. That's I never like bothering my friends who do like Jason does this stuff for his job. Like this is I cosplay. I'm a cosplay media member.
I'm deep in these comments right now reading. What am I doing?
My last question. So is the other thing that we worked on that you had me work on with you briefly, is that ever happening? I haven't asked you.
I can. This is not something that whatever. I'm directing a project for a place, and it got greenlit this week.
Fantastic!
And,
really
and
excited
Kirk
for you.
appears in it, y'all.
Yeah, I helped. It was fun,
and I'm really excited about it. And it'll probably come out in like 2025.
That's
and
great.
This industry is fucking weird.
Oh yeah, everybody's weird. Oh well. Now, Jason, I'm giving you homework. You need to go watch Shogun, and I will talk with you soon.
Yes.
Thanks so much for hanging out, buddy.
See ya.
If you're a basketball junkie, then you know there's no better time of year than the NBA playoffs. Twice a week, JJ Redick is cooking on his podcast, The Old Man and the Three. He has guys come on in all stages of their careers to talk about the league and share stories you won't hear anywhere else, including Devin Booker on why he talks so much trash, Ray Allen's epic free throw competitions with LeBron in Miami, and the moment Tyrese Halliburton knew Pascal Siakam would be a good fit in Indy. In addition to player interviews, every Monday JJ breaks down the top 3 things happening around the NBA with unmatched analysis, not outlandish takes, and is often joined by masterminds of the game like Tim Legler to dive deep on rookie reports, trade breakdowns, and why is mean mugging now a tech. You won't find another outlet that covers the game as comprehensively and with such insight as JJ does it on The Old Man and the Three. Make this your companion podcast during the playoffs. Listen to The Old Man and the Three ad-free on Wondery Plus or wherever you get your podcasts.
We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying that you heard about Indeed on this podcast. That's Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
All right. Karam, you're so patient.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am alarmingly awake for 1 a.m.
Oh, wow. What is it over there, like 1?
It is 10 minutes to 1. Tomorrow is going to suck. But the Mavericks won, so it makes it a lot more tolerable.
He did. And I did a few bullet points. I'm just going to go real quickly because I know you
sure, man. Oh, yeah, take your time.
Luka had more pep in his step. He didn't seem as slow.
I agree. The ref, or not the referees, the announcers kept calling it playing with pace, sure, but he was just moving, and I like to see it.
Yeah, he was making his perimeter shots, whereas before he was like either short or missing them. Like he was making shots he would normally make, right? So that was good to see. He was being aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have any turnovers, did he?
Luka?
Yeah.
Let me see. Luka had 2 turnovers, and one was a pass to, he thought Derek Jones was cutting baseline, and he just sort of threw it out of bounds, and I don't remember the second one.
Yeah. He finally got it going. I liked how they had Kyrie in the beginning of the game when the game started take the ball, right?
Mm-hmm. More of that.
More of that. It felt like it gave Luka more legs. If that
well, it also just was like a jump. It was an injection. The Mavs they're peppy. There was no sizing stuff up. There was go, and I like that a lot.
I like that too, and I think it took the Clippers out of their game because they always thought Luka would be the one taking the ball, starting, right? So I think it kind of got them out of their game. Derek Jones has impressed me. He's an extraordinary defender.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if we have enough to re-sign him? Is he on contract for next year?
So I could be wrong about this, and maybe I will ask CBA Mavs Scott, who is part of the Mavs Moneyball staff, whenever he has time to maybe write something up on this. I don't know if the Mavericks have his bird rights because they signed him to a 1-year deal. Like when they signed Exum, they got Exum for a team option next year. They got Derek Jones Jr. to a 1-year deal. He took less money to come to the Mavs. I don't think about this too much, but I'm pretty sure that they could find, like, that's something they could find a way on. I feel pretty confident there.
I would hope so.
Jared says off contract, the only player, so no bird rights. But that's so that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting to see. Guys who normally take 1-year deals at minimums very rarely make more money, like get bigger deals after that. I think he could be one of the exceptions.
I hope so. I hope we can get him back. He's been extraordinary for the defense and for our team. Washington played great defense. Kleba made threes, and he wasn't scared.
Beautiful. All his shots were he hit one off the side of the backboard, and the Mavs Moneyball Slack was like, no, the dream is dead. And then he hit 2 more. It was great.
It was really great. Pace was great. The bigs were huge. They played a combined 40 minutes.
Loved it.
I did too. I know we all tend to give Coach shit, but I think he's been pretty good this playoff.
You want to hear a fun stat? This was sent to Kendrick Perkins, and it was shared in the Mavs Moneyball status from someone named Win Bostick. He says, here's a nugget of dominance. Since the 5:23 mark of the second quarter on Sunday to now, the Dallas Mavericks have scored 210 points to the Clippers 154. Kid is out coaching Ty Lue. I mean,
it wasn't a matter of if the Mavericks would get their offense going. It was a matter of when.
Sure.
Right? There's no way in hell Paul George and Harden would be shooting 60%. Or
Yep.
the Mavs having historically low. What was it? 8 points in the second quarter in game
that
one?
was the worst offensive quarter for a playoff team in this century.
Right? It doesn't happen, right? It's just uncharacteristic. And here's the funnest fact of it all, Kirk. The 2 games we lost, right, was morning for me, early afternoon for Dallas people, right?
Right.
And those 2 games we lost. Every evening game we have won.
They let Luke. I think Luka. It's true. Luka really likes. I think he's just a guy that's used to patterns, and I don't think he likes those day games.
And here's the best part of it all: Friday is an evening game.
Look, at very evenings. I'm going to miss the first part of it because I have to coach a flag football game.
What time? You say very evening. What is it? Like
it starts at the same time. It's a 9:00 start time for Dallas local fans, which is wild to me because that means Dallas. Like if you're in Dallas, the game starts at 9. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. Let me check this while I'm talking. I could just be completely full of it.
Your prediction: they win on Friday, or they go back to Game 7?
No, I think they close it out. This was the kind of it's like they snatched the Clippers, and I'm really impressed. Very.
It's impressive because Clippers at both times in Game 1 and Game 4 were up at huge margins, and the Mavericks in Game 1 got it back down to almost single digits, and then they lost by 12. And on Sunday, they were down by 31 points. They got it to a point where they actually led. And what did they lose by? 2, 3?
Enough to be annoying. Like it ended up, I don't remember what the final score was.
But it was that close in the end. So I don't know. I'm just really excited, but I'm nervous.
It's good. Well,
sir, thank you.
Of course. Thanks for joining once again. All right.
Thank you. Have a great night.
All right, you too. All right, we got 2 folks left because folks joined late, which I am always pleased with. Krishna, welcome back. What's going on?
Kirk, how are you?
I'm okay. I got a lot of work to do. Probably another hour and a half, but this makes it worth it.
It's exciting. I think it's so funny, when these series happen, I always try to watch like other fan stuff also, just because it's interesting to see what obviously what other people think of their team, because, obviously national media, it is what it is. And we've talked about it so many times that you just don't get the in-depth perspective as you do people who cover it daily. I feel like Maxi Kleber kind of always goes underrated in every single series that happens. I get it. He was absolutely terrible at the beginning half of the season. Like that's an understatement, honestly, even putting it that way. But it feels kind of disrespectful to let a guy who he's had games where he's hit 8 threes in a game. Like this is a guy who can shoot at the 3. Yes, he's not necessarily he's not a Luka or a Kyrie, right? Who's hitting like insanely just threes that you go like, I don't know how are you getting that, but you got to respect him. And it felt a little disrespectful to give him open threes like that. But
that's why. I asked Rob Mahoney yesterday, what's more important, surrounding Luka with athleticism or shooting? He answered athleticism, and I think that's the right answer. But you still have to have shooters because it makes them second guess. And that's where the Mavericks were getting good shots. They just weren't making them. So eventually he's going to wear them down. And so Maxi's shots today were all, I think, in evidence of good process over time. And that's where we get so frustrated with Maxi in the past, where he wouldn't shoot. It's like he misses 1 or 2 and he's like, oh, I can't shoot anymore. And it's like, no, we need your shooting. We need it, even if it doesn't go down.
No, I agree. I think the reason I wasn't as maybe, frustrated is, that's very kind of you. But I think I wasn't as frustrated is because we've seen it from Maxi before, right?
Yeah.
It would be more frustrating if Maxi had 4 or 5 playoff series where he just never done this before. Like the 2020 bubble run, he wasn't even this good, but he showed off a little bit more in 21. And obviously 22, he was really great in the Utah series specifically.
Yep.
And that's where I kind of give him credit. And it was something I feel like I talked about last summer and the year before, but it's not that Maxey himself is a bad player, and you're not even saying that, but it's that when you ask his role to be, hey, be the only plus defender on the court, and then you have to make all your threes, then that gives a level of expectation and pressure that's just unfair to him and to the team in general. And I think what you're seeing with a game like this is just, he's more confident. I think that's one thing, but it's like a mix of all these things where kind of he meets the moment when necessary, but it's also, it doesn't feel like if it misses that the game is over, whereas it would have felt like that in the past. And like you talked about with Rob Mahoney, this is just the most athletic team that this Mavs team has been. Like it's also far younger than it's ever been. Like that's part of the thing that's true is this Clippers team is one of the oldest in the league, and Mavericks team is way younger than it's ever been. I don't even know. Maybe it's younger than even that 2020 team, which is an insane thing to think about. But that's like, it's this mix of athleticism and youth and also some experience, right? I think it's like this balance, and we'll see where it goes from here. I think I'm excited for game 6. It'll be interesting to see, but obviously Maxey had a great game. Josh was weird again, equally as frustrating as great. I mean, when he shot that 3 to end the third quarter, I was like, there's no way this is going in. And obviously he makes that one and he misses the crazy one, but there was just so much about this series. Like the 2 losses felt like games where there were such outliers, like shooting 52, I feel like in game 1, and then 60+% from 3 in game 3 felt like outliers. And what this whole series has felt like is the Clippers keeping themselves in the 2 games they've won, but the Mavs I felt like have got gradually better and better, specifically on offense. I feel like their defense has been a floor, which is like shocking to say ever.
Yes.
And the Mavs are slowly getting better and better on offense, and my hope is that they carry this through in game 6. We'll see. I mean, it'll obviously be rowdy. It's just a great time to be a Dallas sports fan. So hopefully everyone takes care, and I don't want to keep you guys too long. Have a great night.
Man. Appreciate you joining. Thanks for hanging out.
Absolutely.
All right. Talk soon. All right. Last but not least, Matt. Matt's joining us. What's going on, Matt?
How you doing, Kirk?
I'm good. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight.
I just got 2 quick points real quick. I know it's late for you guys. Later here, but I know it's late for you guys. You guys made a really good point at the post game of last time. I think Luka's hurt, but don't you feel like he just figured it out tonight? Like you guys kept talking about that last game. I think it was right. Like I feel like he just figured it out. I have to get to the rim every time, and I don't think there was any whining about man. And I just think he took over. Like why I'm so confident. I don't think they're losing the next 2 games because I think he was a different animal tonight. Like.
So, I have a few people in my life that really insist that Luka wants to be like the scorer, and I just do not agree with that. I think he wants to make the right play, and I think he wants to give what the defense or take what the defense gives him. And I think what we saw in games 1 through 4 is the Clips were sort of, once his shot was off, the Clips were basically not giving him a damn thing, particularly below the free throw line. And the answer for me was take the ball to the rim, make them choose. I hate when he does like a 15-foot turnaround when he has somebody behind him already. And he made a few of those shots tonight. They're good shots. They look great, quite candidly.
The man one. Yeah. The man one. I remember. Yeah.
But I like it when he's going at the rim. Like James Harden hit all those floaters in the last game. Why can't Luka do that? He can. And it's just, it's seeing that he was like, okay, I'm going to go do, the Clippers are daring me to take shots and I'm going to punish them, because he was getting so far into their defense that I don't think they had a plan. I think that they so often teams expect him to kick it out the backside, but when he was pushing the pace, and there are like 5 or 6 occasions I remember where he's all the way in the middle of the lane early in the shot clock, and that just throws off what defenses expect from him.
And isn't he like? He's 6'8". Like when he settles, then man, I want to say this man is one of the best. Like I don't know if he's a great defender, but he's just such a pest. Like if he settles, then it just opens. Like the way he's attacking. Like I'm 6'8", I'm gonna put my shoulder in you. Good luck guarding this for 40. Like that was clearly what. And another thing you said, remember, I think he must have like 10 turnovers this series where he's throwing the ball to the corner and they're expecting it. Tonight, as soon as he attacked, the whole corners opened up like it was wide open because he just kept attacking. Like it was just obvious to see.
Yep,
But,
and you give him enough time, I think he eventually figures out your defensive game plan. It's can the Mavericks give him the time, and then they did so. It's great. Hopefully they wrap it up Friday.
And last thing, everybody talks about Lively's defense. I mean, I don't know what else there is to say. He's unbelievable, but man,
right.
Once those games like tonight when he can go score offensively, it's like an attack. Like you put him at the high post and I know he's a rookie. He's frustrating because some games, like, I don't know if this is a long time ago, but that 30-point comeback when he had like 30-something points against OKC, he did.
That was great. Yeah.
Yeah. Tonight he just attacked, like, and he looks totally different when he's a scorer too. Like, it was just great to see. So hopefully they close it out. I'm debating whether to give up my right arm to go to the game on Friday, but we'll see. So
let me tell you something, Matt. I was a young man, 25, recently married, was in Miami at a friend's bachelor party. And I didn't have any money, but went to the party anyways. Guy was important to me. While I'm down there, the Dallas Mavericks happened to be playing a little game 6 in Miami. Call my wife. We had a serious discussion. We're like, should I go to this game? And she was pushing me to do it because tickets were shockingly easy to come by because the Mavericks had just throttled the Clipper or the Heat to that point. And I said, no, I really shouldn't do this. I have to change my flight. We just don't have any of this money. And it's what we've been married 20. It's been, 13 years later. I still regret doing it. Like I don't want to say you can always make more money because that's not true. But like games that are important do not come around very often. They just don't.
Well, I think I'm booking my flight to Dallas now.
Hey! I'm just, it's tough, man, because it's like you'll think about it forever. Like I think about the fact that I could have been at game 6, probably in like the mid bowl. I'm such an idiot for not doing it.
And I don't want to bring this this is like a joking thing. I'm always like, my sister's a diehard Jokic fan. I'm like, maybe if they go to the Western Conference Finals, but I'm like, screw it. Like I'm from Maryland. Like, screw it. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Let's do it. You just. Right. I think I'm going to go. Thanks for everything, Kurt. Like I said, love the podcast, and have a good night.
All right, talk soon, Matt. Guys, great evening, great game. Appreciate all y'all's support. Thanks so much for hanging out. It's been a great hour 20. We'll be back Friday night, probably after the game because I'd say 11:30. Maybe a little closer to 11, depending on how late the game goes. Everyone, we'll talk soon. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Go Mavs.